Er det noget, menigheden eller moskeen går i spidsen for? Altså det er så et samarbejde jeg ved ikke. Jo, han er med i det der. Ja. Men hører han til moskeen her, og så er han en del af folkene bag det her? Ja. Der er altså noget at hente her. Siger han noget? Må jeg indkomme? Hvordan er det en del af samspillet?
Yes.
So I'm asking in what way you are involved in the congregation center, in social welfare work, now is the
We have some meat with cooked meat and so on.
Yes, but now, what I'm maybe to have an appointment between you and one of the freelance journalists who work for me, asking you questions about ideas of what have you said to the SSP committee and what's your idea, what do you do when you are preaching in the mosque and such things. If I can let her phone you.
Yes. Do you like to have my phone?
Yes. I can have it on here. Oh, if you have a card, yes.
It's not a card, it's one piece of paper.
Okay. But the use is the same. And then I'll say that I have different times seen your names and you've been quoted in the papers. And even if we don't belong to the same religion, I think it was quite reasonable and sensible. So I'm looking forward to that project. One of the last things we did was to write about this Islamic Christian center relations between Christians and Muslims in Birmingham, Sally Oaks College. There's a Dane there who's a leader. It's a theological faculty under one of the universities. John Hansen.
Yes, I know him.
You know him. And you know about his work.
His wife, she is Christian from Aleppo.
Maybe.
From Syria.
At least he got his studies with me in Lebanon, I think.
We let him know that this new event Islamic dilemma. Would you like to see?
No, I won't discuss because so many people want to talk with you now. Just control Is it this one or the Deepin?
And this book also, yes, here, yes.
You can have this copy. And I think somewhere there's the address of the... But I think, in fact, most of the work he does there is along the lines you were talking about. So,
you know, there was a seminar sponsored by August University 4 years ago under the title Muslim
yes, yeah.
And they presented a paper concerning the behavior of non-Islamic minorities in Britain, speaking about the Jewish community. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, you have spoken too much and it's my turn to talk. I have kept my mouth shut for a long period of time. It's my duty in this place to talk on Fridays and in other occasions. So it's my pleasure to open the session of discussions. Mr. Team is with us also. I feel that it's very important for him as a conductor of this program to take part, and Mr. Ashami, who had spoken about the practical matters also, is with us. If you like to put your question in English, in Danish, and somebody can help me, if your comment is for me to answer, you can say it in Danish and I can receive the translation and then give the answer. So who is going to start?
Jeg tror, vi skal bede den, der stiller spørgsmålet, rejse sig op.
Jeg vil gerne spørge, der blev fortalt, at muslimerne, der kom her til landet, opfattede europæerne som materialistiske og et folk uden tro, mange af dem. Og det er sikkert også rigtigt, at sådan er det bare ikke. Sådan er det her. Nu er det noget med, at vi skal lære hinanden at kende og forstå hinanden at kende. Jeg personligt og mange andre, som jeg, vil gerne forstå, hvad det er at være muslim, og hvad det indebærer, og vil gerne respektere, at sådan er der nogen, der lever. Hvad gør I for at oplyse jeres folk om os, at vi faktisk er nogle materialistiske, utroende folk, og det må man altså også prøve at acceptere, lige så vel som vi vil prøve at acceptere det modsatte.
In Islam, we believe that life is the concept of life, that it's a matter of test. You attend a course and you have to pass the examination. You make a training in driving. The policeman will come, the traffic police, and will make a check to you, test for you, and then give you the driving license. The way we look at life, that it's a matter of test. We are being tested to use our intellectual capacities, resources, everything for the best of mankind. And we have to go ahead with discussion. When you put a question to a disbeliever, a person, he or she, who does not believe in the existence of God, and you ask him or her, who had created us, the typical answer is nature. And they feel that they are happy and that they have put us in the corner. So it's nature, keep it quiet. But you proceed with them. Who is nature? Mountain is the part of the nature. Clouds and oceans are part of the nature. Can we describe nature as a creator? I think we are trying to escape. When we speak about materialistic, intellectual, and spiritual values, it's touchable. Everybody can feel about it, can think about it. But what is the best approach? It's the divine revelation. When you buy a car, the manufacturer will tell you how to use it. The fabricator, the fashioner, the producer, the creator is Allah. And He capable to give us the answer how to operate this life the same way we buy a kitchen machine or a washing machine and we have the instruction manual to follow it. Otherwise, we shall spoil the machine and there is no guarantee. That's why epidemics, wars, the pollution of the environment, all problems, because we have operated life without the instruction manual of God, of Allah. Islam is the last revelation, or Quran. People, mankind had believed in Judaism before, in Christianity, and later on in Islam. And this is my proposal. Take time to think about it. So the point now for us is to give ourselves more time to think. Who are we as human beings? Do we have a creator? Do we have any spiritual need we have to satisfy? It was brought to my knowledge that about 2 years ago, the Danes started to request Ministry of Education to teach religion once again, Christendom or Christianity. They have a need now for some spiritual or moral values. They like to adhere to their background in Christianity. So this is our problem, the spiritual side, the satisfaction, the peace. Especially here in Scandinavia, everything is provided. It's the welfare countries or area or zone, but even though people does not have the real happiness, some of them are suffering from depression, some mental problems, and some of them would like to commit suicide. We have to think deeply about this matter. If we can satisfy the spiritual needs of people, and in which way, I think we can sort out the problem. And as far as we have gone through a long march of trials and errors, from monarchy to dictatorship to democracy. Why don't we try once again to think about the spirit and the soul, about God, about the divine existence, about the divine revelation? Let's try to do it scientifically and academically. I'm not speaking about emotions or sentiments. It's like the way we investigate or we make research in any matter. This is my answer. It takes time to understand what I mean by the spiritual need, but give yourself time in reading, in discussion, in argument. We can make it maybe next year, after 2 years, but for sure in every corner of the world now. Let me give you one single example. You have seen a lot of churches are being reopened in Russia. People who have been deprived from spiritual service for 70 years now, once again, after the collapse of communism, are attending Sunday sermons in the church. It's an evidence everywhere. A lot of Europeans have been to India, to Japan, to China, seeking any faith, any religion. And our role as civilized people, not to waste more time in the trials and errors. We are sailing in the same boat. Time is very short. Crises are surrounding us from every corner, and we have to be more objective and more serious about our destiny and about our present situation.
I think there is another part of the question which you missed because you said just shoot.
Okay.
That question was what you within your communities are trying to do in order to teach your children about the culture of, for instance, Denmark.
Okay. This is the mosque, as I told you, from the verb in Arabic, sajada means to prostrate, the meaning obedience to God. In this, within the four walls, every Muslim, when he comes inside this mosque, he is supposed to submit to God, to obey Him, and to seek His pleasure, following His commandments. It's the center area for all Islamic activities. Any judicial matter, political whatsoever. For instance, every Friday, it's our sermon on this minute, in this place. I stand, I talk, I remind my people about the basic commandments in Quran and about our contemporary problems. We go in 3 dimensions. The first one, the identification, as my brother Wissam had tried to tell. Who are we? We shouldn't have any kind of arrogance or inferiority complex. As Muslims, we, like any other human beings, we feel that we have a role in life to play and to contribute to the modern human civilization. So I try, by the aid of Quran, the instructions of Prophet Muhammad, the experiences of prominent scholars along Islamic history, to give Muslim immigrants some examples how to deal with non-Muslims and within the European climate and political conditions and so on. Secondly, we try to socialize Muslims. It's very important. Loneliness, you feel that you are unhappy, isolated, so we try to encourage Muslims to socialize, to meet them, each other as much as they can. Wedding parties can be held in this mosque, birthday parties, any occasions, our feasts where families can gather and have a nice time within the house of Allah in this mosque. So this is the beginning. Secondly, a simple and genuine Islamic education. We don't believe in extremism or fundamentalism or fanaticism. Allah had described the Muslim nation al-Ummah al-Wasat, the moderate nation. This is how God had described us. We do not believe in extremism, the extreme right or extreme left. We are moderate in the middle, balanced. And this is what we are trying to do. So basic education in Islam for children and adults is very essential, because you cannot do anything without knowledge. And this is what I have tried to do. In every weekend in this mosque and in other cities in Denmark, I used to pay visits and open circles for introductory understanding of Islam. I have seen a good response from Muslim immigrants. I can tell you, your presence here is a sign about the outcome of our work, our openness, communication with the Western culture, where anybody can come from Danes and Europeans, meet with us, attend our sermons, and have discussions. Yes?
Because there was a misunderstanding of the question, I think.
Yes.
Because the question was, what when Muslims teach our children, how we teach them to look upon the Danish culture, what we tell them about the Danish.
Yes. 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 To be more specific, first of all, we have the principle of peaceful coexistence as revealed in Quran. As far as people are trying to deal friendly with us, we shouldn't be aggressive, we shouldn't cheat them, we shouldn't stab them in the back. We do not believe in double morals, double standards, or hypocrisy. This is number one. Secondly, we try to explain to them what can be accepted from the modern Western civilization and what can be rejected or would be rejected from Islamic point of view. Modern civilization is not wickedness all the way through, it's not good all the way through. There is good sides and bad sides. So we are trying to differentiate. We help Muslims, children and adults as well, to identify, not to live in a mysterious, vague way, to have very clear understanding, sharp corners about what we respect. For instance, human rights as preserved here in public relations in the West, this is the goal of Islam. This is common in our religion and in the modern Western civilization. The area of friction concerning spiritual services, where a Muslim is supposed to do prayers 5 times a day. If he is a student in his class, he may misplease his teacher, he may interrupt the teaching, etc. We explain to them this area, we call it of friction or disagreement, how we can sort it out very gently, how we explain our point of view to the Danes, and how we receive their response, and how we reach an agreement. In most of the cases, the solution was very nice and very good for both parties. We also educate our children not to disrespect any person because of his faith. Your faith is for yourself, and God will judge you in the last day of judgment, in the doomsday. So as far as people deals with you gently, try to do the same. Thirdly or fourthly, we try to encourage our children here to acquire knowledge, to go to schools, even to proceed to higher education universities, and to be useful members on the society. As far as we are working in the field of industry, education, medicine, this is for the well-being of mankind. It is the same goal in Islam. We encourage Muslims here, and we put in their minds hopes and enthusiasm to educate more and to reach higher levels of education, to show a good example about Islam in practice, not in theory. This is briefly the points. We also encourage children to communicate with their classmates, to discuss with them, to invite them to their homes, to visit their Danish friends also, to have some sort of normal relation, and for everybody to respect the other party within the everyday activities and so on. I hope it's okay.
Jeg vil godt stille et spørgsmål, jeg fortsætter at oversætte undervejs. Der blev talt om samfundet og modtagelsen og holdningen til de fremmede. We were talking, or in your speech and your colleague's speech, there was this discussion about the Danish society receiving minorities and the attitudes to them. Har man, ligesom det danske samfund, I forventer af det danske samfund, vi skal have et eller andet modtagelsessystem, vi skal have et tilbud om undervisning osv. Har menigheden som sådan en form for opsøgende arbejde over for de nyankomne, måske ikke bare for at få nye medlemmer i moskeen, men også for at give dem en introduktion til det danske samfund. Altså, the question is about in what way does the congregation here receive newcomers, not only to make them members of the local mosque, but also to give them a sort of introduction to the Danish society?
Thanks for this question. You know, we know it from psychology and sociology, the process of adjustment or normalization. Any immigrant, if he then decided to immigrate to New Zealand or Canada, he is now facing the problem of cultural shock to come to a new country. We are typical in this reaction and behavior as human beings. We do our best, as I have mentioned, to receive the newcomers, to associate them here, to encourage them to do more spiritual services, to have a strong faith and trust in God, to be more relaxed, more happy, to have peace in the heart. So the response will be all the time nice and kind and gentle without any suffering because of tension or pressure or whatsoever. Again, by explanation, we explain to them how to sort out every problem about accommodation, social relations, education, about food. You know, we have differences about what is legal in Islam to eat or what is illegal and so on, how to do with your kids in the Vegestoon, in the nursery school and so on. How all such questions we try to deal with them on the weekly meeting, on the Friday sermon or in any other opportunities when we have a celebration or any lecture, and Muslims used to raise their points and we try to discuss it with a genuine understanding of Islamic rules.
Jeg vil også tilføje noget. Som sagt, altså som Abu-Abdullah har sagt, som Ahmed Abu-Laban har sagt, altså at det man er i gang med, hvis systemet var anderledes altså indrettet, ikke, så ville vi gerne altså have været med til at lave noget lige fra den begyndelse, som jeg hele tiden har snakket om. Men desværre, hvis vi tager altså sådan, altså flygtninge, altså problematikken, ikke, når de kommer herind, jamen, så bliver det altså stusset ind altså et system, ikke, et forstenet system, som man ikke kan komme udenom. Ikke? Og derfor altså, er der ikke plads til nogen altså, for at komme ind og lave noget. Ikke? Det hører et bestemt sted. Ikke? Og der skal de altså have deres integration, altså i godsøjne selvfølgelig, altså bliver ved med at sige. Ikke? Og så kan man bare ikke komme ind andet af det, altså at vi sørger for her altså i moskeen, altså at gøre det ene og gøre det andet. Ikke? Men vi håber altså, at det her forstenede system altså kan blive lidt løsere, ikke? Så vi kan komme ind i et billede og så lave noget.
Tak. Yes, please.
Vi har i den danske folkeskole et fag, der hedder kristendomskundskab. Vi har også, synes jeg, en mærkværdig paragraf, hvor i man har mulighed for at blive fri for det der fag. Og jeg synes, den er mærkværdig, fordi vi skal orientere om kristendomskundskab, vi skal ikke forkynde. Vi skal altså ikke forsøge at gøre muslimer til kristne. Jeg synes, det er utrolig vigtigt, at også muslimske børn bliver orienteret om kristendommen, i det vores samfund jo er gennemsyret af kristendommen. Jeg vil derfor godt tænke mig at spørge, hvis I får spørgsmålet fra muslimske forældre om muligheden for, at deres barn skal være fritaget, hvad siger I så til dem? Fordi jeg siger altid til muslimske forældre, at deres børn naturligvis skal have kristendomskundskab, og det er altid lykkedes mig nu at overbevise dem om, at det er vigtigt. Men hvad siger I? Ja, altså jeg kunne tænke mig at høre, hvad siger I til de forældre, der stiller det spørgsmål om, deres børn skal være med til kristendomsundervisning i folkeskolen?
And religion is so sensitive in the Western culture. We are very open. Quran is speaking about sexology very open. We teach it to our children since the age of 7, but in a different way, because we have been brought up, have been born because of a sexual relation between man and the woman, our fathers and mothers. We don't have any sensitive area to tackle in Islam. Every area can be discussed. And we teach our children, as I told you, Prophet Muhammad was commissioned about 570 years after the mission of Jesus, and so on. And we believe a lot of arguments, explanations, one complete chapter of 200 verses, the 3rd chapter in Quran, the Imrans, the family of Mary. There is a single chapter in Quran under the name of Mary itself. Christianity, different sects of Christians are written in Quran, and Prophet Muhammad had met delegations from Christians and Jews and argued with them and give them evidences that he is the Messiah, the last prophet of God, and so on. So we have no sensitivity whatsoever to speak about Christianity and to let our children, it's the contrary. When our children used to recite Quran, the traditional circles of Quran, the name of Jews and the Christians and Moses and Jesus are repeated many times in the Quran. Anytime you open the Quran, you will meet a name of a group, a religion, a prophet, a leader, or whatsoever. We have no objection for our children to communicate and to listen. But the problem, it could offend the Christians, because a Muslim child with his innocence in belief in the oneness of Allah, he does not believe in the Holy Trinity, he may offend the teacher itself. He will put a typical question, can you give me one single proof from the Bible, it's written there in Matthew or Luke or whatsoever, that you have to believe in the Holy Trinity? That's why we are a little bit trying to be gentle because of the response of our children. But if they like to attend the classes of any religion, any ideology, we have no objection at all in Quran and in our basic commandments. نعم. Is it the full question or another part of the question?
I think actually it's...
Do you like to add something?
Yes, I would like to very much.
Yes.
Jeg vil så gøre det på dansk. Jeg er dansk muslim, og jeg vil så ikke tale om, hvad menigheden vil råde sine medlemmer til. Jeg vil tale om mig selv, hvordan jeg selv har det med mine børn, og hvordan jeg ikke ønsker, at de skal deltage i kristendomsundervisning i skolen. Dels fordi, som det danske system også er, at vi har både kristendomsundervisning i skolesystemet og religionsundervisning. Og på samme måde er faktisk islam indrettet. til, at vores børn også skal lære om andre religioner. Ja, de skal også vide om kristendommen. Men på et senere tidspunkt, ligesom det er først religionsundervisningen indført på senere tidspunkt i det danske skolevæsen. Kristendomsundervisningen er det grundlæggende. Og det bliver ikke altid bare oplyst, som det nu er nævnt her. Det bliver også undervist som fakta, altså som den tro, vi har i Danmark. Ikke? Og derfor mener jeg, sagtens lytter jeg sig selv også, fordi jeg selv er dansker, absolut godt oplyst om kristendom, men det kan de fleste muslimer faktisk også, i og med, at der er så meget kristendom i islam, og at Jesus og Maria er omtalt, må fred være med dem begge to, som han siger, Abu-Laban, et helt kapitel i Koranen, og det er faktisk de samme sæt leveregler. Så det vi ligesom fortæller vores børn, det er, at de har en lidt anden måde at gøre tingene på, de kristne, end vi har. De tror ikke på én Gud, de tror på treenigheden. Men altså det basale er i og for sig ret ens. Men vi ønsker, at de først på et senere tidspunkt skal lære os om kristendom og andre religioner. Men som grundlæggende i den tidlige alder ønsker vi, at de skal høre om islam. Og det er sådan set mit svar på det.
Ja, så tror jeg, vi fik... Jeg skal lige prøve at holde lidt styr på det. Jeg tror, vi fik det besvaret fra flere sider. Jeg har haft en spørger her i lang tid. Det er dig først.
Ja, det må også være. Så vil jeg først lige sige min baggrund for at sige det her. Jeg har været som kontorassistent eller kontorfunktionær på en skole for kursus for udlændinge og undervisningscenter for unge indvandrere. Og grunden til, at jeg overhovedet stiller mig op nu og siger noget, det er, at jeg forstår udmærket godt, at indvandrerne holder på deres tro. Vi er selv, om jeg så må sige, i slægt med immigranter, som holder på har dansk kirke og dansk klub og så videre nede i Sydamerika. Og det ser man jo uanset hvad det er for folk, der emigrerer, at de holder sig bredt på deres tro og på deres kultur. Men det jeg synes, der er det svære ved det er, at der bliver sagt, at det er danskerne, der har en arrogance og måske også intolerance over for udlændinge. Og jeg mange gange synes, at det er omvendt. At det er udlændingen, der har en arrogance og intolerance over for danskere. Og også fordi, at der er så stor forskel på, hvad mange udlændinge mener, at for eksempel deres drengebørn og deres pigebørn må gøre i det danske system. Og i det hele taget, altså arrogancen, mener jeg, er på den måde, at mange af de unge mænd, der kommer til Danmark, de tror, at danskerne de er fuldstændig uden nogen form for moral, at deres etik, den er simpelthen fuldstændig blottet, og at der er fuldstændig ingen grænser for, hvad de må over for danske piger. De har faktisk mere respekt over for deres egne nationer, hvad det angår. Og så er der en anden ting, det er, at hvis man på forhånd havde fortalt, at danskerne de er jo ikke en homogen masse. Der kan godt være, at der er mange, der ikke tror på Gud. Men hvis du kommer... Danmark er et ganske lille land, men hvis du kommer rundt i landet, er der så utrolig mange former for religioner, og i det hele taget så mange former for etik inden for det danske samfund. Du kommer over i mange af de små samfund i Jylland og så videre, så er religionen meget stærk, og moral utrolig streng. Så jeg synes ikke, man kan slå danskerne sammen over en banket.
Well, it was a rather long question. I'll try to do my best. First of all, to make it a little bit short. Now, what will you answer if it is now said that oftentimes it is actually also the immigrants who bring with them arrogance towards the Danes and the Danish culture? That's the first part of it. And also, how do you think about the possibility that Denmark is a pluralistic society which means that the Danes are very different in between themselves. If you travel around, you will learn that you also have Danes who believe in God and who actually do have an ethic. And there was one third one I think you should like to have answer to, the question about the misconception of the non-morality of the Danes, which can lead to the young immigrants thinking, now everything is open here, right? Okay.
Well, concerning the first question, I do agree with the lady here. It's as I told, yes.
There was one more question which I think is very important. I'd like you to hear the answer from Mr. Abu-Laban about the Danish opinion of the Muslims, the difference between the girls and the boys, what they are allowed to do.
Okay. The concept of equality between sexes. Okay. For the first question, I have to admit, yes, it's a fact that some Muslims could be seen as arrogant because of their faith. They feel that they are safe in the last day of judgment because of their belief in Allah and the message of Islam. It's their own mistake, because you have to be humble. When you feel the gift of God and you are privileged by Him to have guidance and to know His message and His law, it will lead you to be more humble when you deal with people. And as I told you before, this is a typical human psychological mechanism, the reactive response, people changing from one society to another. Put in your consideration also the old heritage, and this is what I suffer myself here in every Friday, because some Muslims would assume that I'm compromising, that I'm trying to please Europeans, or I'm trying to withhold some facts about Islam. Don't forget that during the colonial era, both Britain and France had shared the Muslim territory from Malaysia to Morocco, and secularism have been imposed on our people, and we have been deprived from teaching Quran and Islamic, genuine Islamic doctrine. We cannot forget that. An Algerian man who is living now in France, in Germany or Denmark, can never forget that his country have been occupied by France for 132 continuous years. They were not allowed to teach Quran in Arabic in their home country. So this, he will recall these bad memories. To normalize his stay here, to adjust himself, it will take time. Now what happened had happened. It's written in Quran that everybody, every generation is accountable about his misactions and misdeeds. So let's forget about the past. Now we are here in Europe. Europe is respecting Muslim immigrants, is dealing with everybody fairly, practically speaking. Law is prevailing all the time, etc., etc. So it takes time for him to normalize himself until he started to think as an ordinary Muslim and a human being. We advise Muslims all the time not to reach this point of arrogance. I'm sorry for any mistake done by any Muslim immigrant here. Now let's come to democracy. Like you see about pluralism, you have many parties, political parties, directions, attitudes, etc., believers and disbelievers. The difference between our home countries and Europe that is still, in spite of all experiences, we are so attached to Islam. We are trying to revive Islam within the circumstances of the 21st century and in spite of all its challenges. This is our wish, and we are working hard to do that. That's why you have, remember, let me again remind you about the election in Algeria. About 85% of the Algerians who are speaking French more fluently than Arabic, who can read the French literature and cannot understand Quran, 85% of the Algerians had given their votes to Islam and Quran. They said, we would like to be an Islamic state once again. So this is the point. Let's be very open. Is Islam valid? If Islam is a part of the past, if Islam is not valid, if Islam is a matter of confusion, aggression, arrogance, let's forget about it. But if Islam could be the answer for the contemporary problems, let's everybody of us embrace Islam. Europe had brought technology in our countries and had taught us to make industry, etc. So we have a lot of things to share. Why don't you try in Europe to think about the Islamic culture and about its validity? That's why the concept of democracy cannot be applied in our countries. In Egypt, 85 to 90% of the people there giving their votes to Islam. Mr. Clinton had won election with a difference of 5%, about 40-something, but in Egypt, 90-something are giving their votes to Islam. So this area of democracy, we believe in the eternal values of the divine message in Islam, what is legal, what is illegal, and we trust them and we are trying to re-implement them to show the people the way Islam is practiced everywhere. Number 3, about openness or sexual permissiveness. Again, it's very wrong for a human being to think in eating, drinking, and making love all the time. I don't feel that this is the way a real human being should live. All the time thinking about sex, about money, about enjoyment, about this materialistic value. It's part of our life, I cannot deny it. But I think it's very wrong. I couldn't imagine a Muslim who believes in the spiritual values, who should fast Ramadan and abstain drinking and eating from dawn time to sunset. In summer here, the first time I came, I fasted Ramadan in July for 20 hours, continuous. No sexual relation with my wife. I don't think that any real Muslim who are fasting Ramadan, who are doing this Islamic service, could be mad about sex. If he is so, I think because he was not brought up to the real Islamic standard. Again, it's the mistake of himself, his family, and it's our mistake also as religious advisors in these mosques to take care of such kind of deviations and malpractices and weaknesses. Number 4, about the concept of equality. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like in this respect that my wife should speak about the concept of equality between men and women. I am the boss here, but at home she is the boss. She is giving me orders. I carry them out, okay? I think just to, again, as I started my speech today, to clear any shadows of doubts about the position, situation of women in Islam. Let me, until my wife prepares herself to this tough battle, recall from Quran, in the first chapter of Quran, when God, Allah had created Adam and Eve, He addressed them in an equal platform. O Adam, you and your wife enjoy your stay in the garden of God and don't come near to this tree. So God, Allah, had addressed them both. Women are human beings. They have their intellectual capacities, they have their physical capacities, they have their hopes and dreams, aspirations, etc. They are equal to men. They are accountable about their actions and deeds. They are supposed to cooperate with their husbands in the running of the family, taking care of the children, contributing to the different responsibilities of life. And this is the way I understand Islam as revealed in Quran. Quran did not address Adam alone or Eve alone. Both of them, from the very beginning, you are accountable. A woman should fast like the man. A woman should pray like the man. A woman can acquire education like a man. A woman can assume a job. Don't forget that the first wife of Prophet Muhammad, Khadija, was a businesswoman. Before you create Wall Street in New York or whatsoever, the first wife of Prophet Muhammad was a noble woman, a woman of decision, integrity, understanding, affection, and cooperation. We assume that she is a perfect woman, as Prophet Muhammad had told us. If some Muslims, up to this moment, are not aware of this very fact, if some men are trying to be arrogant because they are only men, I think they are wrong. What Prophet Muhammad had educated us is to be kind to our wives and to contribute with them and to share life. It's written in Quran, the philosophy of marriage, not subjugation. A man shouldn't be a dictatorship. The concept of marriage is love, respect, cooperation, and affection. We are not marrying each other to fight each other and to show superiority upon each other. It's the contrary. The beginning of life, the continuation of life is through marriage and giving birth to children and bringing up children, and the generation will come after generation. This is very briefly. I still, if my wife would like to add some few comments, it's up to her. If she gives me an order that she does not like, okay, I proceed to another question. What do you say?
I think you answered most of the questions.
Yes.
But I don't have any more addition, I think, but as I understand the Quran, that many Europeans, they think equality is similarity. Equality is not similarity. We have one goal, men and women. We have one goal to submit Allah in Islam, of course, to submit Allah and to cooperate with each other for the best of the human, for the mankind, yes, for the mankind's interest. Many, of course, teachers, they think that it is in Islam because, they have this difference between women, girls and boys. Because, for example, when they want to go for a journey, or what they call it, the school, they ask the children to go to a journey. They refuse the girl go, but they accept that the boy go. But in Islam, we don't have anything like that. What is forbidden for the woman, the same for a man. Many Muslims, they allow that the man can make sex everywhere and he is not, what they call it, accused. But in Islam, it's not like that, and it is very clear in Islam. A woman and a man, the person who do this, he will have this, and the woman who do this, she will have this. We are both, we have one mission, mission, and we have to help each other. Women are qualified with some qualifications. Men, they are qualified with some qualifications. We cooperate with each other to help each other to do the best for to bring up children in the best way. Children, they are in need for man and woman. And we cannot say as many people, they think equality, man and woman. A woman is not equal to a man to go to work in the mines. Yes, to go in the mines. It is suffering, you know. Many women, they don't like really to work. But yes, I see it, you know, I hear it from the Western women and from the Eastern women who had been in the beginning, many Eastern women, they thought that to imitate the Western women, that they will get their happiness. But after then, they regret, because many women, I deal with women all the time, because I teach Islam to Muslim women, and I deal with many kinds, or with many different nationalities, and most of them they like to not to go to the work in the morning early and to go back, and they are tired. But it's not also this in Islam. If I have time to go outside and do something good, we can do it. It's not like I have to go to go outside to be equal to the man. It's not the issue. The issue is if I have for example, if I have studying in special area, and I can do something for the human being, not I have to make balance between my life, my children, my husband. outside. If I cannot make balance, I have to, like there's priorities. There must be, I mean, these children who suffer a lot because the man and the woman, they go to the work and they call it is equality. It's really destroying the children, and children, they go to make crimes, and the mother, she goes back home. I'm not against work. Myself, I go to where, I mean, to teach and to do, but I mean, I always make some balance in my life, not to exhaust myself. I have rest for, I have time for myself, I have time for my husband, I have time for my children, I have time for the others to help. So, I think...
But Naam, I would like to complain, you do not give me time at all. Believe me, since we came to Denmark, I am the only victim at home. I come last, number 20 in the family. We are 6 children, but I am number 20.
Vi synes, at den dame, som stillede spørgsmål for, hun fik ikke helt svar, fordi jeg synes, seksualmoralen, den er ikke helt uddybet endnu. Man tillader jo en dreng at gøre sine seksuelle erfaringer. Men hvad i alverden ville der ske med den muslimske pige, der har gjort det? Jeg har ikke hørt om nogen, der har gjort det endnu. Hvad ville der ske med det? Vil hun blive udstødt? 14, jeg taler altså om nogen, der er 14, 15, 16 år.
What about the female Muslim doing her own sexual experiences?
As I told you, try to think, don't put European life as a reference line and you start to measure. This is very wrong. Try to think as a Muslim girl, why she would like to go to open sex, what for? If the center of life is sex, if it is so important for her, she will do it. But as my wife had mentioned, priorities, we have different goals. Even in Europe, people who had sacrificed their life to help humanity, they left their families, their own children to work in medicine, industry, education, to make inventions and so on in different things. So why should a Muslim girl, if sex is everything in our life, we can understand the motivation. But we have a lot of things. That's why balancing. We believe in the social security through successful marriages, to minimize the number of trials and errors, to break the heart of young people in love stories and romance every second year. So this is the difference. You can ask, I should maybe next time in December bring my daughter, my eldest daughter, she can express herself very openly. Why she does not, as a teenager, she does not like to practice sex openly without a marriage contract. She can explain herself as a girl who has been brought up in a Danish society since she was in the age of 7 years. You will listen to her personally, and also you can, because I cannot answer in behalf of other women and girls, but this is my main understanding in Islam. Sex is not the only thing in life. That's why. We may put it number 2, 3, that's why we have some other things to do.
Excuse me, there was one part to the question.
Yes.
Whether the sanctions towards the girl doing this would be tougher, harder than towards the boy?
No discrimination, Islam. I told you very plainly in Quran. In the last day of judgment, males and females will be accountable about good deeds to be rewarded, about wrong deeds if they do not repent to God and ask Him forgiveness to be punished. This kind of understanding is human, traditional behavior. In Islam, every individual, male and female, is accountable. A sin in the eye of Islam, if it is done by a woman, it is a sin if it is done by a man. No discrimination. But if traditions have this big influence in our home countries, it is our misunderstanding of Islam. When Prophet Muhammad used to hold his court in his mosque, he never differentiates between a man and woman whenever they do a mistake. This is the concept in Islam, and I am full confidence about it, and it's written very clearly in Quran.
Jeg mener stadigvæk ikke, det en af de spørgsmål, du kom med, det var, at der var forskel på hvis det var en dansk kvinde eller en muslimsk kvinde, at mændene opførte sig anderledes over for danske kvinder, altså over for os andre. Og vi oplever det også selv i skolen. Og det mener jeg ikke er blevet svaret på, hvorfor at man opfører sig anderledes over for danske. I don't think you answered that question about why we as women here in Denmark, very often, not all Muslims, but many Muslims, shows another way, behaves in a very different way to us women here in Denmark, which they will never in their life will do over for Muslim women. And why do they?
It's the double standards, double morals. Islam has one standard. And again, it could be of some bad intentions or interests. It could be because lack of knowledge, because of weaknesses or whatsoever. The way I have to deal with any woman and respect her and deal with her as a respected human being, it's the same if it is Danish or an Arab or a Muslim, whatsoever. I shouldn't have double standards. I deal with people with one standard. Those who have been mentioned, you are talking about, as I told you, unfortunately, we don't have an Islamic state, we don't have a genuine Islamic education, we are brought up in a mess with different influence of imported ideologies. It takes time for us to identify our moderate, realistic understanding of Islam. And you are going to suffer. I cannot help it, you know, but it takes time. I do my best, and all the friends here can bear witness about that. Every Friday, I'm speaking about one standard, not two standards, about real Islam, not fanatic Islam, about genuine understanding, not foolish understanding. This is what I'm trying to do. You know that nations, civilization cannot be built overnight. It takes time to proceed to introduce information to the people, to receive the response, to argue with them until they adapt themselves to these values and adopt these values. So I'm sorry again if you are suffering because of this kind of double morals. I do hope, I will pray to God very sincerely that He may open the hearts of our Muslim people in this country to show you a very fine standard of behavior.
Who then goes to when the pupils in the school behaves in that way to the teacher? Who do you then go to, their mother or to their father?
You know, in Islam, we believe in the concept, in addition to the concept of equality, of excellence. I go to the doctor, I respect him. If I don't like to take his treatment, his prescription, I shouldn't go to him. I must respect him for his knowledge. So in Islam, this kind of concept of excellence, not superiority or arrogance. I have to respect my parents because they have sacrificed to bring me up. I have to respect teacher. It's the contrary.